So I've decided to just start shooting without really thinking about or writing down anything. Just start speaking from the heart. So I've decided to go ahead and do the next episode, full length episode that I was said I wanted to do. How to create a post-racial society in America. These are the first steps we could take right here and now in 2026. And I decided not to write it because I would have thought way too much about what the words, the characters that I wanted to say. And I decided to instead just focus on the message, right? So this is how we can, by the end of this video, I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, but by the end of this video, they will, like, I will show definitively how right now in the United States of America, we can take the first steps towards building a post-racial society. It can happen now. So, first off, we have to understand what the culture war is. The culture war is a philosophical issue, okay? That's what most people don't understand. People just think it's a battle of between wokeness and MAGA, right? The cultural force of MAGA against the cultural forces of what is known as wokeism, right? So we have to understand what the culture war actually is. It's a philosophical challenge of postmodern philosophy. Challenging modernism, right? Modernism is the philosophy that brought the West to preeminence, that produced the Enlightenment revolutions of France and America, right? The technological, scientific, and industrial revolutions that the West went through gave the West superior advantages in terms of military industry to be able to fight and wage war and conquer the rest of the planet. That produced the current, worldwide civilizational model that we're currently in. But that civilizational model has huge fractures, which are based in the origins of the modern West itself, right? The fundamental contradictions of the French and American revolutions, right? And then you have the Haitian Revolution, the most universal, the most radical of the Enlightenment revolutions, right? The one that truly promised to live up to the ideals of what the French and American revolutions said, at least on paper, right? So you have the Haitian Revolution that's actually trying to do the things that the Enlightenment revolutions, practiced or preached, I should say, and they were completely fell upon, right? France and America both did not want to see Haiti survive, right? They wanted to see Haiti as crippled as possible to show the world that a slave society could not, a society run by freed slaves could not function. All right, but I digress. So anyway, so the culture war. So the culture war features the narratives of postmodernism that are coming to overtake the narratives of modernism, right? The Enlightenment modernist narratives of the West, and basically. The narratives of modernism also, like, that progress, scientific, military, industrial development led to World War I and World War II. I believe 100 million lives lost within the span of decades. Just incredible barbarity unleashed upon humanity. I pick up a book about the Battle of Stalingrad. Oh my God. The amount of human suffering that people had to go through during those wars. Like, seriously, like pick up lots of books about World War II. But in particular, read about Stalingrad, all right? The Battle of Stalingrad, just people starving to death, right? And this is something that Americans have never had to go through. 1812 was a long time ago, right? Americans have never had to sit through wars and just die of starvation by the millions, because of the horrors of war, right? So anyway, the postmodernists argued against the modernist narratives, right? The postmodernists argued that the modernist narratives of the West were imperialistic, racist, misogynistic, colonialist, imperialist, right? So the postmodern narratives, what they do is they uplift the narratives that didn't get a dominant space, whereas, the modernist narratives, the dominant reflected the dominant cultures of Western Europe and North America, right? The dominant white Christian Eurocentric culture of the West, whereas the postmodernists start to uplift the non-dominant narratives and bring them to prominence, which is why, for the first time in history, you see the prominence of black voices being heard throughout society, brown, LGBTQ plus, BIPOC, and so on, right? The first time in history, these voices actually come to prominence. And you start seeing different shows, you start, seeing more pride come up, right? For the LGBTQ plus community. You start seeing more black stories being heard, more brown stories, more indigenous, right? And MAGA is the cultural reaction to that, saying, make America great again. What does that mean in fact? Does that mean bring America back to a time when it was only the dominant white culture whose narratives were allowed to be showcased? Is that what it in fact means? That America it's supposed to be a white country, right? Little Mermaid shouldn't be black. What's going on? I mean, a black lesbian playing a role that your former favorite character used to be. What's this? So anyway, so we have to have a proper understanding of what exactly the culture war is. So therefore, we have to understand, the culture war, essentially, it's the historical pendulum swinging, right? The dominant white culture that was dominant throughout the entirety of the history of the United States was finally being supplanted by the postmodernist narratives that uplifted other cultures. Black, brown, LGBTQ+, BIPOC, and so on, right? And we have the reaction of MAGA against that. The reaction of MAGA, right? And you see with DEI and open hostility towards whites, that became prevalent on the internet. And this is what I say to the pro-white community. Matt Walsh, oh my God, I wish somebody could send this or clip it out. I really need to work with somebody on social media so they can just help me make clips and go viral and all that, because I don't know how to do all that. But anyway, I wish somebody could send this next thing I'm about to say to Matt Walsh, especially. Shapiro, Knowles, Michael Knowles, Steven Crowder, any of these so-called intelligentsia, MAGA intelligentsia, so-called. Yeah, I called y'all out. But yeah, the history of the United States of America has always been steeped in racism. This is just the first time you as a white person have been affected by it, okay? It's the historical pendulum swinging against the dominant white culture for once. You got a small taste of the racism that has pervaded America throughout the entirety of our glorious nation's history. It's just the first time that you got the brunt of racism in America, right? And then look at what's happening, right? And then the creation of the white victimization narrative. Charlie Kirk, Irina Zarutska. The idea that whites are being under attack, white voices are being silenced. If a white person, can get insulted online, you can berate and talk about white people online, but as soon as a white person does it, they get canceled. It's unfair, the silencing of white voices. So we have this narrative, the white victimization narrative, right? That the white population is being under attack. The white population of America are discriminated against racially.